Heya Buddies, Mr. Pugly here, and today we're going to be covering January 5th patch notes for Overwatch. Now, these patch notes on paper don't seem too exciting, but once you actually get into the meat and potatoes of what these patch notes even mean for the characters, they actually buff the characters up a significant amount. First, let's go over Adrenaline Rush with Junker Queen. It now says when an enemy dies with a wound, you will heal for the remaining amount of the wound damage on the actual enemy. So the greatest way to show that in practice is you can see my character here is 225 HP. So if I were to apply a wound, obviously I would start healing naturally, of course, like that. But if the enemy dies while it has the wound on him, I will heal for the entire wound duration immediately. So you can see I have 264. These guys are low HP. I hit him with Carnage, and I instantly heal for about 100 HP or more just by killing 2 targets, which is very significant. Speaking of Carnage, let's go over its new cooldown reduction. So every single enemy that you hit with Carnage, it's going to reduce the cooldown. So normally Carnage has an 8-second cooldown, so I hit one enemy there, and now it has a 6-second cooldown. If I were to hit 2 enemies at once, it's going to have 4-second cooldown. So you can see right there, it kind of encourages Junker Queen to get more hands-on and into the actual battle, allowing you to essentially deal more total DPS when you're actually in the fray. This is a nice significant change because a lot of times when you're playing Junker Queen, you have to play kind of a mid-range and it's very awkward, and this significant change can allow you to get confirmed kills quicker, as well as with her passive change allow you to heal off those confirmed kills even quicker as well. So now say you have an enemy and you're planning on doing a combo which normally applies a bunch of wounds to the enemy. Say you do this, you pull him out, bring Carnage out, and then punch him again. You're going to heal for 100 HP. One small change to Junker Queen is that her impact damage for Jagged Blade now does only 50 HP of damage, which means you're going to deal less damage with your Jagged Blade, but it's going to apply a unique wound to the enemy. So wounds such as Carnage, her melee, and her knife now are all separately stacked. I think before her knife wound would primarily only apply when you brought it back from the target. So now you're going to apply the wound when it actually sticks on the target. Now, before we go over the boring stuff, let's go over another significant change which people aren't really talking about, which is going to be Moira. Moira's Biotic Orb now restores her Biotic Energy, which is her healing juice gauge right here, when it actually damages targets. So you can see right here, as it damages these targets, they're going to fill up the gauge significantly quicker. So this is going to now give you a chance to essentially heal for longer with your primary heal, while also allowing you to deal some nice damage to the enemy line. Now, a buddy of mine actually showed me something that's pretty cool. So every single time you hit an enemy with the Biotic Orb, it's going to heal the gauge up, as I said before. But if you're hitting 2 enemies or more, you will notice that your Biotic gauge cannot go down. So if you're hitting 2 enemies, you're never going to see your gauge go down at all, which is awesome. So if you're hitting 3 or more enemies, you could be damaging enemies and healing your allies and seeing your gauge go up in the process, which is awesome. Of course, now if you only hit 1 enemy, it's not going to drain your healing gauge as much, but you're basically going to see your healing gauge reduce 50% slower, which is awesome. One could argue that you could potentially just use your healing orb and you kind of get the same jits by using your primary fire ability where you're dealing damage and then your orb is healing. But this change does now allow you to play a little bit more varied in your approach when you're approaching the enemy team, and can sometimes encourage Moiras who like to do damaging orb to actually damage orb more. Now granted, healing orb will provide better AoE healing, but if you're doing damaging orb and you're healing 1 target, that will provide better single target healing. So now Moira's better at single target healing than she was before, which she kind of already was really good at. The other minor things is that Brigitte's shield is now 300 HP as opposed to 250 HP, and now Zarya's energy degrades slower than it did before, which is technically a buff from Zarya, but it's not a huge buff. And now this delay only happens 2 seconds after not gaining energy, when as opposed to 1 second prior to this buff. And that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to see possibly more Junker Queens in the meta. Of course, this probably isn't enough to make Junker Queen see competitive, huge, widespread play, but I think it will provide a little bit more oomph to the character to make you occasionally pick that character. And Moira's change is really significant. And as always, a big shout out to the members who make these videos possible. These are the members who support me as little as $5 a month. The more members like these allow me to become full-time on YouTube, and the members who support me are, of course, Cameron, Rick Iglesias, and Clairvoyance. If you'd like to support me so I can make more videos, don't forget to click the link in the comments or description or on the top right to become a member. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat. Facing him out with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. More in a cave with a torch on a wall than a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.